Happy Monday, everybody. And as Chad mentioned, just one more race card before we transition to the month of July. And, another 10 pack, a nice 10 pack that we've got here with 2-year-olds that are going to be on display as I bring in my Hall of Fame co host, Randy Waples. We also have some breaking news that was put out just a couple of hours ago pertaining to local star Bo Jangles. He will not be going to the Meadowlands Pace. He will be bypassing the Meadowlands Pace. This weekend was supposed to be a limbs, assuming that they get enough for that. But he will not be competing there, and we probably won't be seeing him in the near future as he is dealing with a lung infection.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's enough to knock anybody out. It didn't help Chantilly last year, really shortened her year as well, So unfortunate, but, I think before it was just all more or less a question mark, but the other night in the gold, obviously something's amiss.
All right, we're going to get a chance to kind of look at his most recent effort. I know you got a good chance to see it firsthand, obviously being here. I got a chance to, I watched the race live, but I also went back and looked at the replay. Man, he just never looked like himself. Look, in that particular effort, we're talking about the most recent gold. He put in steps behind the gate. I mean, he, put in steps behind the gate, something we're not accustomed to seeing. And I know they went some pretty quick panels, but we've seen him go some quick fractions in the past and be much, much sharper. We've never seen him get past the way he did by some of the horses in the provincial program, at least with the level of conviction. This is just a horse that, you could talk about regression. That maybe that's playing a role. Maybe he is slightly regressing from his 3-year-old campaign, which, we've seen horses do in the past. This particular effort, though, I don't think had anything to do with the regression per se. I don't think he was 100%. And then we get the report that came out from the ownership group and Doc Moore today.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously something's wrong. I mean, he's been handling this bunch with ease, not even breaking a sweat to beat, the Gold Colts. Now all of a sudden he's got them going by him before he gets to the head of the lane, and he barely picks up a fifth. Obviously something's wrong. There's obviously something wrong, and it's got to be tough to diagnose that. I know a lot of times they got to take them to a vet clinic, do a lung wash on them, get all that stuff that's because their lungs go way, way down. You can use like a 6-foot, 7-foot scope to go down, and you still can't get all the way down into the bottom. It's a long ways down in there. So they go do a lung wash, and all that stuff comes up, and then they culture it, and then they find out that, hey, this horse has an infection, So it makes sense, you know what I mean? I just kind of wish that somehow or another we'd have, been able to, track when this happened, because obviously it's probably happened maybe 5-6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He seemed to look fine in the SBOAs.
Looked fine in the SBOAs. Look, I'm not going to take anything away from horses like Odds on Mr. Mamba and Brandon Boulevard, who I thought raced superb in the Elims as well as the final. I'm not even going to say if Bo was 100%. I mean, off the trip, you have to figure he should have converted off the medal at the North America Cup, given the trip that Bob worked out for him. I thought, once he touched down to the half in 54, you figure the race is over. We still don't know what he was dealing with at that given moment exactly, and we still don't know if he were to win, even if he was 100%, if that was the case. But I don't want to take anything away from them, but we just know that, we kind of saw last time out that Bo Jangles was dealing with something, and it's nice to, at least hopefully for them, it's nice to know that they kind of figured out what's going on, but we also want to see him back at 100% as well.
Yeah, 100, exactly. That's what we, definitely want to see him at that. And like I said, I mean, most scopes, when they put them into a horse, they're only going to be, maybe this long, a little bit longer. And it only goes down to a certain depth when it goes down inside them. When they, do a bigger scope, whatever, to look at this. It's huge. It's like, 14, 15 feet long, that thing, and it goes all the way down. So what I'm saying is, every time that the horse raced bad, I'm sure the first thing that Doc Moore was doing was sliding a scope into him. But the problem is, because it's a normal kind of a scope, I got a feeling he wasn't picking up what the problem was. You know what I mean? That's when you got to take him to a clinic where, there's equipment and that are, more or less put for that reason. And so I think it's easier to miss than what a person would think it should be. When you hear lung infection, it's like, well, how could he not have known, I think it's a lot easier to miss that than what people think.
And similar to last year, I mean, one of the top contenders, if not arguably the best colt in the division, Blueprint.
Yes.
He had to undergo a procedure to miss the Meadowlands Pace, and here's another top contender in the division who's going to be sidelined due to just a lung infection. So it's unfortunate. We love to see our stars compete, but we also know that the horses come first. That's something we all know, and hopefully he can come back be the force that we've been accustomed to seeing. But again, a really, really nice division, and another great opportunity again. Whether Bull was in or not, I mean, odds on Mr. Mamba was going to be a main contender and have an opportunity to pick up another signature victory. And Brandon Boulevard, the freshest out of the bunch, who probably is going to be the quote-unquote sharp horse, even if Bull was racing going into that Meadowlands Pace final, because I came away from that North America Cup being so much more impressed with Andrew Harris's colt, and I think for really good reason.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. He raced fantastic. But, I mean, I just think it opens the door up for everybody. Yep. Even if you have a nice 3-year-old colt down in Kentucky, you know what I mean, and you were thinking to yourself, I don't want to race against Bojangles, or I don't want to race against odds on Mr. Mamba, you know what I mean? He got beaten his last 2. Yep. So now I just think it opens the door up for everybody. The undefeated streak is done. And now it's just, open. Who wants to take the crown? Yep. I think Brandon Boulevard's got as good a chance as anybody.
And Gentleman's Club in an overnight race on Friday night, I believe, at the Meadowlands, going 47-4. He's a really nice colt of Aaron Lambert's. Things didn't work out in that elimination for him, but really nice colt to put forth a really good effort. Israel Blue Chip put forth a nice runner-up finish to him. And even Sweet Love and Lou, I know things didn't work out for him. I think he has an opportunity to bounce back and put forth a big effort in the Meadowlands. And speaking of which, he actually prepped for potential Meadowlands Pace eliminations here this morning at Woodbine Mohawk Park. James McDonald going with him this morning, guiding him to a winning effort. So we're going to highlight that qualifying victory as well and just kind of see how he looked. Because he too, Randy, he never looked like himself.
No.
He was on the outside flow, and he never really fired the way we know he's capable of firing.
No, for sure. We were thinking there was going to be a big effort there, and he just kind of went through the motions, it seemed.
All right, but James McDonald, we know the direction he went, and we know the commitment he's going to make to odds on Mr. Mamba, assuming that he's also into going those Meadowlands Pace eliminations. But he still went with him here locally, and to me, just looks sharp. I mean, just look, your tight lines, whip over his shoulder, and this is just a colt to me look a lot sharper than he did in that final.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks really, really, sharp in there. Who was in the deuce? Do you remember?
Vela Luca, the one that was scratched. We were going to get it.
There's that one surfaced. Look at this on the run out.
Yeah, you and I both really liked
going.
Not a bad one that he followed either.
Oh, man, this thing's unraced, isn't it?
Yeah, unraced. He was scratched in his,
wow.
In his debut. Well, Court, he's got something to potentially be excited about. And, well, let's look at another star that we got a chance to see here, compete locally from shipping and from Quebec. There's Be Perfect BG. She put forth a sensational qualifying effort.
Wow.
She's going to be gearing up for the Jerry Silverman Memorial for the 3-year-old pacing fillies. And I tell you what, Randy, she really is nice filly's an understatement. She's pretty cool.
How fast? 50-4. Wow.
Home in 25-4.
Unbelievable, yeah. And just seemed like there was nothing to it as well. Yeah, really, really looked good out there.
I think I'd back her against Luadipa the next time they compete, assuming they're both going to be in that Jerry Silverman.
Yeah.
I like the fact that she came on again.
Yeah.
When Luadipa came up the inside.
Yeah.
It almost appears that maybe Be Perfect BG didn't see Luadipa, and she came on again. I mean, Luadipa with the momentum probably should have just won by a length, in my opinion. Be Perfect BG wasn't finished. I mean, she wanted more of Luadipa. So
cool.
That's what I think.
There you go.
We'll find out.
We'll soon find out.
We'll find out in a couple of weeks. But we know one thing: those are both two really talented fillies, and that's a really good division that we get a chance to watch all season long, and definitely the division that I was the most.
3-year-old pacing fillies is more or less sewed up. You just named 2 or 3 of them there but now the 3-year-old pacing colts is completely
wide open. Yeah, and I've said this name a few times, Miss Jum Jabber. We haven't seen her compete here locally. She's a
pelling training.
Really nice pelling filly. Yeah, really nice filly. Just a lot of talent that we get a chance to watch and cover. We're going to see what kind of talent we're going to pick out here this evening, though, Randy, because we've got 2-year-old races here, and that's how we're going to kick off this Monday night 10-pack. 2-year-old trotting fillies. We're going to be scratched down to a field of 9. And Whoop-de-Doo Hanover, coming off a couple of nice qualifying preps, was able to drop close to 4 seconds between qualifier 1 and qualifier 2. She's the current 3-5 favorite, was given 4-5 morning line favorite status. And I like those efforts, but I'm going to try and play against her. But one thing we know about Blake McIntosh charges, they're always ready to show up and start number 1.
Yeah, completely agree with you there, John. I mean, we went 1-2 in here. I mean, your top pick is my second pick. We just flipped it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got a replay on both of them. Mm-hmm. Let's get into these replays on these ones here. So we're going to do Whoop-de-Doo Hanover, which is exactly what I said when they handed me my last report card, and I seen it was all Fs. Whoop-de-doo, as I was on my way to the track. What about Dougie here? What's he got there standing up straight here? Unreal. Okay, let's take a look at Whoop-De-Doo. And she takes some, what I liked about this one here is that, the filly that come on the outside of her, Jody there, he went hard at her. Like he pushed her really, really hard. And she comes a middle half in 58 and change and then comes back on and ends up winning in 58 and change. But I'm saying is that, a lot of horses that went like that, like they got hurt that bad in that third quarter, that she might have give it up, but she didn't. She just kept coming forward, and then she put the other filly away. So I thought it was a good effort. That's 2 starts that we've had from her. She was an easy winner in her first one with the last quarter in 28 and change where nobody messed with her. And then her last one, like I said, they were at the half in 59. They went at 3 quarters in 128 and 4. It was almost like a race. She was able to get the job done and put away the Carl Jamieson filly. So I thought it was a good effort in here. But let's take a look at the replay of the one that you like in here, Cold Breeze.
And we're going to get James McDonald hopping aboard this starter of King of the North. Mark Etzel, who trains and co-owns, trains, was going with this filly in her debut in that morning prep. And I thought she went fine. She took a lot of air early on from the outside. And she still, I thought, went really well to kick home in sub 29 in that final quarter. So for me, though, I mean, I don't know if this means something or means nothing, but I think the fact that they listed, Bob on this filly, which we've seen Mark in the past go with some 2-year-olds. We've seen him go himself. We've seen him list Travis Henry. They're putting on Bob McClure, and they're getting James McDonald, 2 of the top reinsmen here on this circuit. So I don't know if that's a bit of a tell saying that they think this filly could do some pretty good things. That's the way I kind of looked at it, but there's no tangible evidence to dictate that.
Completely agree with you. I think that in these situations, when you have good horses, you look for good drivers, and usually good drivers respond. The only reason I put her in for second, only the one qualifier, and it's just an opinion on mine. It means absolutely nothing, but I just kind of thought she should have went by. I know she was out there for a while, but to me it looked like she wanted to go by. She never really lost ground, but she never gained ground. It almost seemed to me like she kind of hung out there a little bit.
Yep.
So I'm going to go 4-3. You're going 3.
3-4, but I'm gonna be going all in on Cold Breeze in my early pick 5 ticket, just hoping that I can get a bit of, I shouldn't say a price, but maybe the favorite beat in this particular spot. But Whoop-De-Doo Hanover, I think, is going to be tough. She had every reason to get beat in that qualifier, as you mentioned, and she dug back in. So she's 2 for 2 in those morning preps, and I know Blake McIntosh, I think this one was a pleasant surprise from training down. He kind of touched on that with me, and so far so good in the preps. I mean, you never know what they say in the training reports, and then they show up to qualify, and it could be a different story. The qualifiers, I'd give them more than a pass in both those preps. So.
Jean-Marie Bedard. Would that be a Bedard that we know?
I believe so.
There you go. Yeah. Well, best of luck to Whoop-De-Doo Hanover and all the connections.
All right, there's a look at race number 1. We're going to have 2-year-old trotting fillies to kick off this program, and we're going to have 2-year-old pacing fillies in race number 2. And we got a field of 8 going closer here, Randy, and Carl Jamieson's got a pair of trainees here that are going to be 7-5 and 9-5 morning line respectively. I thought the qualifying preps for these 2 fillies were solid, and I thought Silk Lace's career debut was a solid one. Nothing that was over the top for me, but she did follow a filly that went 54 and change in her career debut, and that's the way I'm going to go. But I do think that she could be a susceptible favorite here. I just don't know how much she's got in the tank, but we'll find out tomorrow as her career kind of progresses.
I threw her in for second.
Okay.
Silk Lace, yeah. I mean, she's got that race under her belt, and I don't think that she was ooh la la loaded on the end of it, but I certainly think that she raced well first start, you know what I mean? And I don't think Jody pushed as hard as he could have either, you know what I mean? I think he kind of laid off a little bit when he realized that, the other horse that I think that was the one that Doug went with.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, she looked overpowering.
Really good. Well, she was forced to go a little bit quicker than she wanted to.
She had lots left on the end of it. This filly, to me, I think she had enough. But again, I think that Jody laid off too because she'd had enough, So I think she's going to be able to bounce back off of that. And I threw Pa Lila in for third, and then Hot Wash in on the bottom for James. But I'm going to go Rockin' Jade Dale. We got 2 replays to show you in here. We're going to show you Rockin' Jade Dale, and we're going to show you Silk Lace in here. So Jason, Rockin' Jade Dale. Rockin' Jade Dale is the way that we're going to go. We talked about this pre-game, pre-show, John. We talk a lot pre-show, me and John. In this situation here, I don't understand why she's out in the middle of the track. Like, she's a big filly. You can see Bob moving her now. Now, she had no problem staying on the rail, But then when we get out, like on the backstretch, I mean, but then when we get to here, she's kind of out in the middle of the track. And here's the problem that I have with her is that when you get out in the middle of the track, you kind of lose a little bit of momentum. You know, the momentum's down on the inside. And at no point does he ask her to go one step forward. You know what I mean? It's almost like he's going his own mile. Now, just before the wire, he did ask her, and she shot forward. And look at the run out on this one. He still has her out in the middle of the track, you know, right over top of those shadows, which is a good thing. Smart move by McClure there. I wish more drivers would do that. Instead of trying to avoid them, make them go over top of them when you're jogging them, when you're training them, especially when you're jogging them. You're jogging babies in the morning and that. If there's something on the track, if there's a shadow, if there's a pile of horse crap, if there's if you know, something that's not going to hurt, make them go over it. Make them go over it. The minute that you start dodging and ducking around stuff like that, then they get into a habit of doing that. You know what I mean? So make them go over it. And I think that that was good that Bob did that, if that's the reason. But regardless, she come her last 3 quarters. She come a second quarter in 28 and 3. Then she went the third quarter in 28 and 1, and then the last quarter in 28 and 2. So she threw together 3 sub 29 quarters in a row, and there's not many in here that have done that. And the way that he was just sitting on her doing it, the fact that she's a great big strong looking filly, I'm going to try her up on top. But let's take a look at your top pick in here. Silk Lace.
Yeah, Silk Lace, again, I thought that was a solid effort. Rockin' J. Dale, though, a sibling to Rocket Dale, who's a really, really talented racing field.
Proclamation.
Yeah, that Brett Pelling's got. So
I think I raced against her.
Proclamation,
I think so, with Dream Fair Eternal. I think she was a high-quality mare at one time. I think she was, yeah.
Popped out a couple of pretty good holes as well. And with Rockin' J. Dale, though, the one thing I want to ask you about, we'll touch on that momentarily after we see Silk Lace's effort. I like Silk Lace's effort in the qualifier on June 4th. I know she went with the stablemate Pa Lila, I should say. I thought that was a good a solid qualifier for the stablemate, but I thought Silk Lace went better on the end of it. Now she's just following speed that was a little bit too quick. She still paced a mile in sub 55, but again, it's you know, chasing sometimes can be a little bit different than winning. Like 54 and maybe going a little bit quicker. She was the best of the rest, I'd say, but I think the fact that she was able to drop a few seconds after that qualifying effort, I think that's only probably going to help her fitness level going into this start. But she's going to be the one to beat, I think, and she's going to be the one taking the most support. And I just think she'll have an advantage off the gate from the word go. I don't know where Rockin' J. Dale is going to get away. That's my only concern.
Yeah.
I mean, Bob's had her gapped a couple of times. Again, these are young horses. You know, in some of those qualifying efforts, we've seen 3 of them. That's what I want your opinion on. Do you think it's go time now after 3 qualifiers? Because sometimes with the Luke trainees, there's times where you see multiple qualifiers, but you see different approaches. They'll race off the pace to get towards the back just to get an experience under their belt, and then they'll be asked for a little bit more off the gate. I don't know if this filly's got enough gate speed or wants to be close to the gate just yet, but I guess we'll find out more tonight, especially from the inside. That's one thing I'm curious to see where, you know, this filly's going to get situated tonight.
Yeah, I would look at it as the individual, and I think that, you know, I worked for Luke for a while, and I mean, to me, I think that that's the way he looks at it too, but I would look at it as an individual. My thing is this, is that if she is in good spirits and she heads up to the rail and she wants to get out of there in a controlled get out of there, I'd do it. Because I think that our rail is one of the toughest positions that you have to overcome. So if she can start to learn that the rail isn't a bad thing and that she can get herself out of there with the rail, I think that that's going to work good for her down the road too. So I would deal that as an individual thing. She feels good and she wants to get out of there, I think I'd let her move out of there in a controlled way, not just, you know, throw the lines at her and put the hammer down and let's go. But if she wants to move forward, why not? She's got 3 solid qualifiers under her belt. The last one being in 56. You know, there's really nobody else in here. You know, the one filly shows 54, Jody's filly, but she raced. Everything else is about the same. So I just don't think that you're going to do any damage. You know what I mean?
All right, there's our thoughts on race number 2. We're going to move on to race number 3, and we've got some claimers here in a field of 8. I found this to be a bit of a tough race to handicap, Randy. I think you can go a multitude of different ways. I landed on Sunset Rider, one that I thought raced pretty well here on June 15th and was a bit unlucky at Georgian on June 23rd. But I think, like I said, I think I might have gone 4 or 5 deep here. So Who's your top selection in this spot tonight?
I went right back to Spin Dr. Hanover. This is second start. Lasix was last week. I liked him. This is going to be the third start. Lasix last week. He was really, really good on the end of it. That was for Trevor Henry. And Trevor going to come right back to him in here tonight. Third start Lasix. He's my all-in.
A Blast of Sunshine I thought was really sharp. Again,
really
he
good.
Got aired out. 2 starts back, got tired, came back with a tripped out effort, and how sharp was he, right? I mean,
huge.
So I thought that really boded well for him. Easily
Where did
the
you
best.
go?
I went to Sunset Rider in this spot, but easily the best. He looked for a second like he was just going to, as soon as James moved him out of that hole and he started making up some ground, it looked like he was going to blow by them. And then he just, looked like he just hit a wall. But this is a horse that maybe needed a start, right? That was his first pari-mutuel start since January 16th. So a horse that I don't want to discount in here. But Smokestack, he got stretched out early on in that mile. I think he had a license to get tired. Again, I can make the case for several in here. Which Tour champion do we see tonight? I know that's a horse that you're always high on as well.
Yeah.
Like in spots like this.
And he's changed barns, though, too, right? He's gone to Pereira right now. I'm going to take a wait and see. You know something?
Too.
I went easily the best last week. I had Spin Dr. Hanover in for second, so I'm going to go back with Spin Dr. Hanover. But on easily the best, I moved him in for fourth. The way that I look at it, last week, to me, he looked sore. That's it. That's the only way that I could put it. The horse, to me, looks sore. Maybe he'll get better, if he keeps racing him, or maybe he'll get worse. But to me, last week, he looked sore.
Is that exactly that just scratched, Jason? Exactly? I believe we have a scratch coming in as well. All right, so big scratch later on in the program, though, as we finish off our thoughts on race number 3. Exactly, will be scratched in race number 9. A significant scratch, I would have to say there.
Were you going on top?
I was going to be my single. I'm going to have to call an audible now. I thought he was the one to beat.
I had him on top as well, but to tell you the truth, I race both of my pick 6 and my pick 5.
We'll have to think. At least I've got 5 races to call an audible. I don't have to worry about it right now. But we'll move on to race.
Waiting to call an audible anyway.
Oh, I love it. I'm like Peyton Manning sometimes. All right, we're going to go to race number 4. That kicks off the pick 6 sequence. More 2-year-olds here, and got a field of 10 going posted here, Randy. Free agent, the 8-5 morning line favorite. This is one that Blake McIntosh sent out. I thought looked really sharp in both qualifying efforts. I thought the first one was sharper than the most recent one, but he did pace his last 3 quarters a little bit faster than he did, collectively, I would say. So I don't know what to make of him. I think he's a horse that could get beat in here, but he's also the horse that I think merits a lot of respect as well.
Yeah, I think that he's really good right now. Simple as that. Yeah. What happens from here on out, I don't know, but I think he's really, really good right now. We all know that, when it comes to early money, Blake has his horses ready. You know what I mean? He's got them ready for the Tompkins Gears. He's got them ready for the Battle of Waterloo. These things are ready to go. They don't miss many days. He puts a lot of work into these horses on the track. So, now it's time to pay off. So we got 2 replays to show you in here as well. My top pick is going to be Free Agent, but I'm also going to show you the replay of my second pick in here, which is going to be Hamilton Hanover. Now, Luke Blais brings 2 nice horses in here. I think, John, you're going with the other one, LA Captain. Yep. So we're going to show Free Agent, and then when we show the second replay, you're going to see my second pick, Hamilton Hanover, but you're also going to see John's top pick, LA Captain, because they happen to be in the same qualifier. So let's take a look at Free Agent. Louis Waugh for Blake McIntosh in here. And again, I just love the way that this guy's doing everything that, they're asking him to do. Even this one, he's got a fair ways to make up coming out of this turn.
This is actually going to be the free agent qualifier that we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like Louis.
Oh, yeah.
He's done it great, good to me. Both. Yeah. Hamilton, Hanover, they come down in through them. But this one, he had a long ways to make up, and he's not even really asking him to do anything. He taps him a couple of times, but the horse just keeps coming forward. So he's had 2 qualifiers, one more or less a front kind of he left a little bit, sat third, moved him to the front. No issues, but big back half, and then he comes to the next one, a completely different style, still the same result. So I'm going to go Free Agent. Now let's take a look at the other one, which is going to be Hamilton Hanover and LA Captain. Hamilton Hanover driven in this qualifier by Tyler Jones, and LA Captain getting the services of James McDonald. Both of them very, very high-priced colts. Hamilton Hanover was a $352,000 Harrisburg purchase, and LA Captain was a $281,000 purchase. So right now, between the two of them, you're looking at $600,000 of horse flesh just with these 2 guys. And I love the way that both of them do it. I think they both look good. You can see James is sitting fourth. Tyler's on his back with my second pick, Hamilton. Now, where I separate them is right at the end. And, you know, maybe I give too much credit to Tyler's horse, but to me, right on the end of the mile, I thought Tyler's horse was bringing a little bit more. At this point, neither one of them have been used. You can see both of them just sticking with each other. Now, James elects to take the inside route, Tyler the outside route. Maybe James doesn't have the momentum, but Tyler's was absolutely cooking. And when he was on James's back, he had a really nice hold of him as well. So I'm going to go free agent Hamilton Hanover. LA Captain in for fourth, and the 3-horse in for third. What's his name?
El Cucuy.
El Cucuy. Tell us what an El Cucuy is.
They said it was a Spanish boogeyman. Spanish boogeyman.
That's a cool name.
Tell you what, though, you showed that replay on free agent and El Cucuy was the one who was pacing the fastest. You know, on the end of it, I thought he was moving just as good as free agent, if not better. He's one that I'm really intrigued with. I know you've got him in for third again. That's one I really think put forth a good showing. I think a couple of Paul Davies 2-year-olds put forth some pretty good preps in the morning. LA Captain, I like the way he went. I like, you know, hard to knock free agent. I thought both qualifiers were good, but I think some other ones might be able to show a little bit more, and that's why I opted to play against him. But he's going to be on my pick 5 ticket. Hamilton Hanover, the only one that I omitted. Maybe I should have rated him a little bit higher in this spot. Ordinary Superstar made that miscue in that most recent qualifier, but he was the one who was tired. I would say not tiring, but he was the one that maybe didn't have as much life on the end of it. 2 starts back. That's going to be Power Racing Stables' Brian Tacuna, who spent, you know, some money at the London sale. So we're wishing him the best of luck coming into the standard bred industry and, you know, giving things a whirl. So Leonard Lalonde Jr. getting a big opportunity to train, you know, stable full of well-bred 2-year-olds. So we're wishing them the best of luck as well.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. You know, anytime anybody spends that kind of money, you know, you want to see them do good. And Lenny Jr. always does a really nice job with his horses. So I hope he has some luck too.
I'm just taking a wait-and-see approach with some of them. I think that this is probably one that still needs, you know, maybe a little bit more fitness, at least in comparison to some of the other ones. Or
He's got the rail.
Yeah, I think some other ones have a little bit more go at this stage of their career. But again, it's a long season, right? We are picking them start number 1, but we're going to see how the talent progresses as their careers go forward as well. There's our thoughts on race number 4. We're going to move on to race number 5. We've got a field of 10 going postward here. A couple of horses you have to figure are going to be taking some support. PL Taco over Bet. Those are horses that did take play last time out. But I also think that some other ones have a big opportunity to win. And how about Beachkeeper? So I thought outraced his odds at 40-something to 1 last time out in that grassroots try. And at least he's got a win under his belt. I know some of these horses struggling to find the winner's circle. I think this is a Jeremy Marcotte trainee that's, you know, raced pretty good last time out, all things considered.
Completely agree. He's going to be my top pick in here too. I'm also going to throw 2 horses I kind of wanted to quickly touch with you. Better's Mystery. I'm not really sure what we're getting there with this one. I think this guy's got a lot of talent and a lot of ability, but I don't know if he's just kind of, you know, maybe not learning it as quick as what they would want.
I think the smarts are still lacking in right now, early on. I think he's going to mature, and I think he'll probably get smarter as he races. I completely agree with you.
Right. Interesting horse, though. Looks like he's got some ability.
He doesn't know what he's doing out there.
Yeah.
But I think he knows
how fast he's going
exactly.
either.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that this guy at some point, he's going to end up being a pretty nice horse as 5-horse. I got a question mark beside him. I would suggest to do the same. The only other one I wanted to quickly talk to you about was Alchemy Hanover. Now, this horse is going to go second start Lasix from the rail for Kyle Bossens and Jonathan Drury. I'm going to throw him in for second. He makes a lot of ground up in that only start, but when JD asks him to go forward, every time he'd ask him to go forward, the horse would run in. You know what I mean? So I'm not really sure where they're at with him. He had the 8-hole to work with. He went to the back. Now he's got the rail to work with. I think that JD might try to place him a little bit closer. I don't look at him as a win candidate, but I really look at this horse as maybe being something down the road. I think he's got a lot of ability.
Completely agree. It's why he's not in my top 4, because I don't think he's ready to put forth like a winning effort just yet. But this is one that I want to see continue to monitor. I wanted to see him move with conviction and move forward at the end of his mile the moment that JD showed him some racetrack. But like you said, he just couldn't get him into gear.
No.
You had to straighten him out the entire time. So good eye by you there on Alchemy Hanover. One that, I'll be keeping tabs on here this evening. But I'll be all in on Beachkeepers tonight. I think this is one that, again, I think should have every chance. And I think Louis should have a lot more confidence after, going a 51 and change mile against Tougher.
Yeah, and he comes back on a good date.
Without a doubt.
Everything, yeah.
All right, so there's our thoughts on race number 5. And we're going to move on to race number 6. That's going to kick off the late pick 5. And we've got 2-year-old trotting colts here. We've got a field of 7, and we mentioned Paul Davies, though, Randy, and Clarkey. One that I'm excited to see make his career debut. This is a 2-year-old gelded son of King of the North, and there's a little bit more of a backstory here, though, obviously with Clarkey, named after, the great Keith Clark, a very, very well-respected horseman in Alberta, and the ownership group all had really good relationship, with Keith Clark, and this is his last crop, right? Because the broodmares that he had all got, dispersed, all got sold. So, they're really hoping for some good things. And as Paul Davies, I shouldn't say Paul Davies, as Nathan Sobey kind of told me, Keith Clark had a hand of gold. Everything he touched just, had success. And they're hoping that, his namesake here, Clarkey, can do some pretty good things on the racetrack. And after that qualifying effort, Randy, I think they've got plenty of reason to be optimistic about this guy.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I love him in here. I'm going to throw him up on top. And quickly about Keith Clark, what I always liked about him, it was straight speak. You didn't have to, there was no duck diving or politics or anything like that. You just, if you asked him a question, you were getting the answer. If he asked you the question, he wanted the answer. You know what I mean? I like that about guy. I would call it gruff, I guess, but you're getting the straight goods, and I like that about Keith Clark. Miss him big time. So anyway, Clarkey is the way that I'm going to go, and we're also going to show you the replay of the 3 horse in here. Now, which way did you go?
I went to Clarkey as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at Clarkey. Obviously, both of us impressed with this guy. So let's take a look at him. Right now, he's sitting 5th for Paul Davies, and already I just love the body action on Paul. I love the way that this whole race went. He just does everything very, very professional. Nothing flashy, but very professional, very steady, I guess would be the word that I'm looking for too. Very steady for 2-year-old trotting colts. That's nice. And look at him coming on the outside. And I kind of like the way that James kind of looks over at him too. I mean, obviously this guy's rocketing pretty good right now, and James's horse is kind of going good clip too. Oh, this is a different one that I'm thinking of, but the one a little later. But again, nice effort on this guy. Never really asks him to do anything, and trots a last quarter in 28-3. So, I think he should be good to go in here. Don't really care how he decides to race him. You know what I mean? If he wants to race him from way off the pace, I don't care. I just think that there's potentially a few horses in here that could make mistakes or make a break. I just don't see it with him. He seems very steady.
Yeah, and you know what, to Ernwood Tritton, that's one that definitely merits a lot of respect. That was a nice qualifying effort on June 22nd. But, with Clarkey, I thought he went well, and so did Unstable Genius, who put forth consecutive winning qualifying efforts. He lost to one that I think has looked incredibly sharp in his young career, a sibling to Stable Genius as well, and I think Mastercraft and others. So it comes from a really good family, and hopefully I'm excited to see Unstable Genius when he kicks off his career. But Clarkey, again, just the one qualifying effort that could be a bit of a concern. But hopefully the trip works out for him. But I think we're going to see a good effort on the end of it from him.
I agree. Now let's take a look at Aaron Wood Triton for Travis Henry and Mark Etzel. Now, he chops this all out. You're going to see it's not a nice racetrack this day. He goes a mile in 2-1. A lot of people would say, it's not that good. But then you look over and you see that they gave the track two seconds that day. It was a sloppy mess. You can see the drivers have the mud screens on. It's a mess. But again, this guy, steady. That's what I like, when you're picking 2-year-old trotting colts early in the year. I mean, things could change, they could, the ones that aren't doing much now could get a little bit better. The ones that look good now could get a little bit worse. But what I like is steady. I don't want to see any horse out there that, you got to baby him and baby him and baby him and, and this one you don't. And usually coming out of Mark Etzel's barn, that's what you get. You get steady horses, and that's what we're getting with this guy. So only 2-1, but a good last quarter, 29 seconds. Nobody was close to him to push him or anything like that. So I just thought it was a very steady, nice kind of an effort in there. But Clarkey really showed me some zip on the end.
Agreed, and you and I both go in Clarkey's direction, but I think Aaron Wood Triton definitely won. Again, he's going to be the race favorite in that spot. He merits a lot of respect off that qualifying effort. But he's not one that I'm going to exclude from my pick 5 ticket, but I think I feel pretty good about just using the 3 and the 5. So there's our thoughts in race number 6, and we're going to move on to race number 8. Got a field of 9 going postal. We've got some grassroots starters here, Randy. I think this is a competitive race, though. I really do. And Arcona Sealster going to look for more punishment with this this daughter of wheeling and dealing, I should say. She's raced well. You know what? Looking back on it, was she trotting as fast or as good as maybe an HB Imagine on the end of it? Probably not. I'm gonna give this Martin Lachance trainee another go here tonight.
I agree. That's where I'm going to go to. And what I kind of like about her is Trevor comes back. You know, I mean, he gets along pretty good with her as well. And the last time she had the 2-hole, Trevor drove her and he left with her.
Yep.
And I like that. I'm hoping that sooner or later we're going to see her up on the front end.
Agreed. And HB Imagine, as I mentioned, race well. Rare Legacy, also a good effort from her. Press on Ballykill, we saw some equipment changes. I thought it worked out really, really well. 9 hole's going to be tough, but I didn't want to exclude her tonight.
Yeah, she's going to put the aluminums on behind. Take the barefoot off and go to aluminums up on behind. So I threw her in for second.
All right, there's our thoughts on race number 8. A couple of 2s, a 6 and a 5 there as far as top selections are concerned. We're going to skip over race 9 and go to race number 10. We got a field of 10 going forward there. My top pick is back in this race from last week. 36 Red, one that I liked in that spot, and initially I didn't love the effort until I went back to watch it, and the horse had a lot of pace on the end of it, Randy. I came to the conclusion that I don't know if this was a horse that liked going, first over, because you could see James just duck him so fast, and but he showed a lot of interest in amongst rivals. We know he's handy enough to get involved, especially from this draw. So I'm just curious to see what kind of trip James is going to operate with him. But I'm expecting a good effort from him because he raced well last time out.
I agree. It's worried the route that I'm going to go to. I thought he was live on the end of it there. A little bit of greenness, but I think live on the end of it. And he's as live in here as anybody else. And we're down to a field of 9 because Call Sign Rooster was a late scratch.
Yeah, I think this is a tough race anyways. I think a lot of horses are struggling not only to win, but I think that, are probably trip dependent. And look, 36 Red, definitely one of them. But I think the scratch with Call Sign Rooster is only going to help, sliding in a spot behind the gate.
What do you make of Winsun Gunner, first start, Cassidy Schneider coming out of the fellows camp? And look at the changes being sent in. Steel to aluminum all the way around, and then blinkers to Pelling pacifier.
Those are changes to me that indicate a horse that could be ready to go a really good effort and will be aggressively handled tonight. So I agree with you. That's something I would definitely monitor. And again, a new change of trainers here tonight. So Cassidy Schneider going to get a chance to train the son of Cattle Wash, and we'll be monitoring those equipment changes. There's our thoughts on race number 10. We're going to look at some pick 5 tickets. Randy, let's look at your early sequence.
Okay. Only one key for me, John, and that's going to come along in race number 3. So I'm going to start off 2 deep, Cold Breeze and Whoop-De-Doo. And then in race number 2, I'm going to go Rockin' Jade Deo with Silk Lace. Race number 3, it's going to be a key of Spin Dr. Hanover. Race number 4, I'm going to go Free Agent, Hamilton Hanover. And in race number 5, I'm going to use 4 numbers in here. I'm going to use Alchemy Hanover, PL Taco, Overbet, and Beachkeeper.
All right, I'm going to go all in on a few horses, I should say, in this sequence. Beachkeeper is going to be a single Cold Breeze for me, as well as a Silk Lace, and hope that I can, get a price in between those middle legs. But I'll need a lot of help to get those singles across. But that's the way I see things in the early sequence. Late wise, how do you see things, Randy?
Late wise, a little cheaper here, John. I went 3-5 in race number 6, Ironwood, Triton, and Clarkey, and then here come the keys. Race number 7, I'm going to key He's in Control. First start, Kyle Bossens for that one. In race number 8, I'm going to key the 2-horse in here, Arcona Sealster. Race number 9, I'm going to hit the all button with and I was hitting it even when Exactly was still going to be racing. I think this is a very interesting race. So I'm going to all that one. And then in race number 10, I'm going to hit the single for 36 Red.
You and I both on board with the single in the last race, 36 Red, the way that I'm going to go. But I'm going to have to find replacement for Exactly, but which I have a couple races probably to do. But 36 Red, one that I really like and one of my plays of the night. And speaking of plays of the night, let's look at your 4-pack here this evening, Randy. And I have a feeling we touched on a couple of them already.
Yeah, I'm going to start off in race number 3. My all-in is going to be Spin Dr. Hanover. Third start, Lasix. Beat the favorite is going to be Beach Keepers. Worth a Look, Clarkey, and Waples Watch, 36 Red.
We're on board a couple of times as far as plays of the nights are concerned. The Beachkeeper is going to be one of mine, as well as 36 Red. Winning debut is going to be Cold Breeze to kick things off. Worth a Look is going to be Shotgun Jerry. And the other 2, as I mentioned, are going to be ones that I hope you and I can team up on and have some success. Let's look at some resident handicappers and their thoughts and selections as well. Garnet Barnsdale, Kevin Plaucha, as well as Ghislaine Paquette. We always like reading and hearing their thoughts. And free agent's going to be Garnet Barnsdale's best bet, PL Taco, Ghislaine Paquette's try, number 2 in the Jody Cullen barn. And Magical Arthur going to be Kevin Plaucha's spot play, looking for his first win in about 2 years. There's our thoughts on this 10-pack, Monday night 10-pack. Some 2-year-old races and some tricky races to handicap. Randy and I are going to be with you to help you guide you through the night all night long.